Hey, welcome back. We're at week six of our database development design course. This lesson, we're going to go over generalization and specialization. You're probably noticing the pattern here that what we're looking at is problems that can foul up your model. We're not really building out a model. I know. Hopefully, we'll get deeper into that in a little bit later. But right now, it's let's just these problems you really kind of want to resolve them before you get into the actual grid of actually going down and trying to code out your database because it's just going to backfire on you if you don't handle these little situations first. So let's look at what generalization and specialization mean. Okay, so one of the questions comes up: how do we handle a situation where we have multiple classes, but realize these classes have significant amount of information in common? And how do we handle a situation where we have a single class but realize there are differences among different objects in the class that may drive us to break up the class into two classes? All right, a lot of word salad here. Let's look at some pictures and make sense of it. All right, let's start with specialization. When the majority of the information about two types of objects are the same, but there exists some different specialization in the data. So what we've got here, let's take a look. We have a basic employee class here. Very simple. Employee, got a couple attributes: employee ID, first name, last name, and salary. Works fine. But let's say we created this class already, it's been working, and now we've decided to hire consultants. Well, instead of salary, consultants are going to have an hourly rate. So now we have a problem. Do we add a second column? But or attribute, but the problem there is think about this, we go to search. That goes against one of the mortal sins of database design. Never ever set it up so you're searching across multiple columns for one thing. You don't want that. It makes for poor design. So let's go ahead and see what we can do about this. What we can do is create different columns, different classes here. We can create subclasses, and subclasses contain specialized information. So you notice here we have the employee. Now we removed salary as an attribute, and we've created two subclasses: permanent, and that's their salary, and consultant, and that's their hourly rate and end rate. Yeah, I know you don't. You will see when you design it, you'll have attributes to link to this as a type of linking thing, but that's what we'll get there. So what we've created, though, the idea now is subclasses. And these are inherited classes. They contain specialized information that's inherited from a superclass. Uh, these are both, let me stretch this out here, sorry. So these are both subclasses now of employee. This permanent and consultant are both subclasses, and employee is your superclass. And that should maintain as general as possible. And the reason for that is because a change to a superclass affects all the subclasses below. It's a lot easier to keep this general and just add subclasses below it, or to make changes to the subclass than making a change to the superclass, which can affect the subclass. So that's what you want to think about when you have a very common thing that you have to break apart, such as consultants versus permanent employees. Now, in generalization, when you have two or more existing classes and they realize they have the same information in common. So you have student, ID, major, enrolls in course code, is taught by a lecturer, ID, name, salary. Okay, so check this out. So what we could do here is we could take out a person and have an ID and a name. Because whether you're teaching the class or taking the class, you're still a person. And there's cases of people who, especially grad students, who do teach classes while taking classes. They could exist in both tables at once. They could be enrolled in a course or teaching a course. So that's what we do. So we bring out the person as a superclass, and then we have everything down here below into the subclasses here. Okay. So we can even have things that outside of a course, maybe you have a lecturer who just does a special lecture, or a student has a special project they take on, and that would be easy to go, and it would still work as a subclass below this superclass. Okay, so that's generalization. And to make sure, I don't know if I misspoke or not in the back, but it was written correctly. Keep in mind, specialization is when we take from a class and we break it into subclasses. So we take something out of and we create from a class and we break subclasses into it. You know, that's generally the idea of specialization, whereas generalization is going backwards. We're taking a group of classes and then we're creating a super class to go above. So if you're building subclasses below your superclass, that's specialization. If you're going the other way around, you're building a superclass for your subclasses. Now you've got what's called generalization. Okay? And they're both examples of inheritance, where you have subclass A and subclass B, both specialized types of a superclass, which is up here. And subclass A and subclass B will all have attributes of superclass in addition to their own attributes. So it's just, and looking back at this, again, you take a person's name like, Ben, me, and I could be a lecturer, so lecturer picks up my information there. I could also take a class and I could be a student, and that would take my information from the superclass. Not much to it. That's really kind of it, the idea of generalization versus specialization. It is a quick topic. Again, look forward to seeing you next week, and thank you very much.